So good morning. I've got two mics here. I think one for the cameras and one for the thing. So it's a bit of a thing and a clicker and everything. So it's going to be an interesting combination here. I hope this is going to work and I don't trip over anything. My name's Ian Ashby. I'm delighted to be here today. I've been with ServiceNow coming up for 9 months now. I'm part of a small team that we have globally that's been established over the last year or so to help customers and prospects think through digital transformation of customer service and customer support operations. I'm joined by a colleague of mine today, Claudia, at the back there, who's based out of Germany, and we're going to be here all day. So if you do have any follow-up questions from that, please do track us down, or any of the Highmetric folks that are upstairs as well with the demos and so on, talking about the CSM product and where that fits. I come from a background of actually sort of operations in customer service, customer support, as does Claudia, and both of us have also led significant transformation activities. So we kind of bring that real-world practical experience, I think, if you like, to add on to the technology and product component that you're going to hear a lot about as the day goes on. So I'm going to share a little bit of that today, but also for those of you that perhaps know ServiceNow more from the IT area that has been around a bit longer and that Adam covered, I think, so eloquently early on. I'm going to spend a bit of time today positioning, if you like, where ServiceNow sits in the customer service or the customer experience domain, so that you get a bit of an idea of where we fit and our positioning and, if you like, our differentiators in that space. So this is a little bit about CRM, a well-known three-letter acronym, and where that sits and where, if you like, customer service management from ServiceNow fits and the differentiators thereof. I've got a couple of things I think I'm going to skip through, and then we'll get to this one. So you heard, I think, very well from Adam, if you like, how we think about our business and the different components. You'll see around the room here as well what we call the three primary workflows. The primary workflows around IT, and that includes things like our security, software asset management, IT operations management, IT business management, IT service management, global risk and compliance. They're all within that area there. You're going to hear this afternoon a lot about the employee or the HR component. And my focus today is around the customer and customer experience part of the business. But I think, again, just reiterating what Adam was saying, it is all on the same single platform. So everything you heard today about things like virtual agent and machine learning and agent workspace and assisted help, whether that's for an IT agent, an IT support agent, or a customer service agent, it all applies. It's the same core technologies. Everything that we deliver in the core platform is available across the whole piece. You think about that mobile experience could be for your IT support person, for your employees, and for, more generally for your employees, and for your customer service agents. It's a good example. We've got the new mobile app that we've just launched is available for all of us, and I use it all the time for employee finder. I put the name in and I can find their email, their phone number, and directly call from the app or whatever. So just as an example of something that's leveraging that mobile technology, you know, in that, if you like, that employee experience component. It's because it's all in the same platform and it all works in exactly the same way, and you get economies of scale and leverage across the entire organization. So my focus today is primarily going to be around this area, and hopefully, as I say, positioning ServiceNow and sort of our approach to customer service within that domain. So, CRM. Who knows what the abbreviation CRM stands for? Put your hand up. Right, who's going to tell me what it stands for then? Who's going to be brave and shout it out? There's a lady who did it for me yesterday at an event I was at. I think one of the guys can do it for me today. Right, thank you. So someone, I'm not sure who it was, who did that? Who was? No, actually, no. I would kind of go with that. Customer relationship management, I think, is the most common sort of description against the CRM TLA, three-letter acronym. But I think the interesting thing for me, and having come out of an operational business, it tends to be used primarily around sales activity, marketing activity, maybe e-commerce activity. It's that whole sort of component around the sort of outgoing activity, opportunity management, sometimes called Salesforce automation if you're thinking about the sales area, and everything to do with, if you like, commercial activity. I think where CRM struggles is really within the customer service, customer support domain. You know, I think when I look at this, if I think of CRM solutions and trying to force fit them into a customer service, customer support dimension, you know, CRM ends up standing for something more like call reaction management. And it's all about, you know, it's entirely reactive. It's about customers who come into an organization unhappy about something isn't working, got a problem, need information, and then getting intensely frustrated in their interactions with the agent around either how long it takes, you know, you don't know who I am, okay, you can't fix it, I understand that, someone else needs to fix it in the rest of the organization, I need someone to come out to my site to do some work, I need to speak to the billing department, I need to speak to the development department because, you know, there's a bug that needs fixing in the software that you're delivering to me. I need to speak to the, you know, to the finance guys because I thought I'd paid my bill, but you know, it's not showing me up as registered, and I can't, you know, get the service that I think I've already paid for. Oh, but you can't connect me to them. You can't deliver that information to me. Okay, what does the agent do? He writes it on a post-it or sends an email, or if I see Harry in the lunch queue, I'll mention it to him and get him to call you. You know, it isn't a joined up experience, and it's extremely reactive. And so, you know, our sort of view on that is not how to deliver great customer experiences. That is not how to deliver a great customer service to your customers, whether they be businesses, whether they be consumers, whether they be partners who are part of your ecosystem. So call reaction management is not how we think it should be done. We think there's a better way, and that's what we call at ServiceNow customer service management. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what that is to us, what that consists of, and then also then get into a couple of real-life examples. I've actually got a couple of videos, and I can take Chris's experience to see whether they're going to work or not with this setup, but hopefully give a bit of a flavour for where it sits and what it is that we try and position as ServiceNow. So, think of it sort of in building blocks, and I think this is perhaps one of the best ways to get it across. So what I call the route to customer service management, the route to CSM. So if you think about the sort of the common scenario today, if you have a sort of CRM-based solution, you've got your customer coming in through multiple channels. They might be contacting you through the phone. You might have something like chat that you're using. You could certainly have a customer portal where they're coming in and getting access and perhaps creating cases through that. And also email, a lot of email out there. I see a huge amount of very unstructured email coming in and no prioritization or whatever. But typically, one form or another, whether it's manual or in some cases automated, they create cases, and then you have a support agent who works with that. But there's deliberate sort of lines there, if you like, in what I call that multi-channel interaction. Very rare to have a situation where you can start a conversation on chat and then switch to email or switch to phone, and that information is retained, that context and history is retained, and the agent who's dealing with you, perhaps phoning you up, you know, knows exactly what you've already been doing on the chat and can see all that history. They're in silos and they do not connect up. So it doesn't really focus on business outcomes. It doesn't give the sort of, you know, the right kind of support to customers. It's extremely reactive. It relies on someone coming in to the organization when there is a problem. So they're already in a bad state when they contact you. As I say, not connected. Joining those dots are very, very difficult in the common sort of ways of approaching things today. And I think the other thing that I was talking about before is it very much focuses on the support agent. You know, and getting the first case or first call resolution by the support agent. Immediately it needs to go beyond the support agent. That's where the problem occurs. There isn't the integration into the back office and the ability to route the work appropriately. Everything breaks down and it's into, I'll send an email, I'll write that post-it, I'll phone someone, you know, I'll get them to call you, I promise, that kind of thing. And going into, if you like, what many people describe as the back hole in the back office of the organization. So my perspective on this is this customer engagement piece like this is at the best table stakes. It's absolutely necessary. You've got those communication channels in place. You've got the process of creating cases and logging things, but it's certainly not sufficient for great customer service. So this is kind of then building out what we think customer service is all about and how you deliver a really differentiated and far better approach to serving customers of all types. So what do we start to sort of layer into this model? Well, the next obvious thing is to say there's a whole bunch of things that you can do to enhance that experience, and you heard some of those things from Adam earlier on. So things like adding the capability of communities, leveraging other users who can help to provide information, to provide responses to questions, problems, issues that you're having. It's a form of self-service, if you like, based on the network of people that are using the system. More generally, self-service, creating the capability 24/7, 365 to deliver answers to the some of the common questions. And that starts to get you into things like leveraging things like service catalogs, so you can route things through intelligent workflows to the right place, but also leveraging knowledge as a key component, and particularly knowledge-centered service. So in other words, having a closed loop about making sure that the knowledge that you have available is really delivering the right information, and if it's not delivering it, then having a process that improves the knowledge so that it can deliver the right information the next time when someone has that same issue by a process of closed loop feedback around it. But also you can leverage some of the technology we talked about earlier on today by Adam, so machine learning, artificial intelligence, providing help to perhaps some of the agents in the way they approach, some of the virtual agent or intelligent chatbot type capability. So there's lots of new stuff that's coming out there that improves the overall experience and can drive through the self-service component, the automation component, the link to digital workflows, and really improving the overall capability through automation to deliver improved customer experience, but also improved efficiency. There's a sort of another dimension to this. You need to remove those lines, those thick lines, and go from multi-channel to omni-channel. You have to connect up the ability that the customer may choose to come in, say, on email, and then subsequent conversations need to take place over the phone because there's interaction required or whatever. That information needs to be captured and the agent needs to have all of that history. Otherwise, you go through the situation of said, I know you needed a phone call to progress this. Can you just run through it all again for me? Explain why it is that you've raised the case. What have you done already? You need to capture that and have all of that history within the system to get to true omni-channel. I need to know what's been going on if you've been having a conversation with the community. You posed a question, have you received any information through, so we don't go over the same ground again. So all of those barriers need to be removed in order to effectively provide the self-service type activity and the true interaction that's required for customers to have a really great experience. And of course the other dimension here is it's not just customers, there's partners. I think many of you will be working with value-added resellers, with dealers, with systems integrators, with franchisee operators that work in a slightly different way. Perhaps it's not the end user consumer, if you will, and they have a different requirement and a different sort of interaction that's required with your organization. And you may have a mix of direct to end consumers, if you will, or end businesses, and then partners. So again, you need that capability within the system to cope with that and provide information appropriately. So now we start to get true capabilities within customer and partner engagement and start to have, if you like, best in class for the engagement component of the overall model. But it doesn't stop there. How do you connect the other parts of the organization and what's the process you use there? Of course, with ServiceNow's strength in service management, IT service management, and enterprise service management, clear leader, market share leader globally, top right magic quadrant for Gartner, top right magic area for Forrester and so on in both IT service management and enterprise service management. It's a natural sort of take for us to take some of those best-in-class processes around ITIL and start to use that as the route from case into the rest of the organization. So to the extent that you want to, you can use all of the native ITIL elements in the same platform, change, problem, request, incident, all to move things forward and start to drive work into the organization. And in particular, to then what I call connecting the back office to the front office. So this is ability to route work around the organization and to track it. So it's none of this separate emails, separate post-it notes, phone calls, etc. Through the interaction from the support agent, taking cases and or requests that have come through from the service catalog or any other route and get it to the right part of the organization and to timestamp it and track it and keep control of it and provide the information back as well. So if I give you some examples here. you're a software company, you've delivered your software out to your organization, and there's a problem that the customer is experiencing. There's an interaction with the support agent, and the support agent fundamentally concludes that there is a bug, and that bug needs a fix. Now that bug is going to be fixed by the development or the engineering team. Okay, they're going to have to confirm that it is indeed a bug. They're going to have to do the root cause analysis to try and figure out what it is and schedule that fix. Most businesses today, and I come from this background, so I know exactly what it is, the customers talk about the black hole of development. If there's a bug, it just disappears. It goes away from the support guys. They can't get an update of whether it is truly being accepted as a bug, when it's going to be scheduled to be fixed. Is it going to be delivered as a patch? Is it going to be delivered as a hot fix? Is it going to come out in a subsequent release? What's the timing? Should I try and do a workaround now because it's going to take a long time to come through, or is it going to come through in days or weeks or months and that kind of activity, because there's no connectivity from the front-end customer service operations into the back-end systems. So this kind of workflow capability means that you can have updates given by the development department on where they are in the cycle to a case, or in this case a problem, and fed through into the case, and then real-time updates available to the customer through the portal, through email or text updates, whatever it is that you prefer and you set as your personal preference. And then obviously root cause analysis to make sure that the thing doesn't occur again. So that's just one example. Integrated field service, the ability to have scheduling of technicians based on priorities, based on the issues, again within the same platform and area. And all of the connection to all the other departments, whether that's finance, whether that's professional services, whether that's legal, whether that's operations, all in part and parcel of this connecting the back office to the front office to give the connected experience within the organization. There's of course another piece here, which is around the connecting of, if you like, what I call the connectivity or the proactive piece of the business. So this is where you've got potential cloud infrastructure, Internet of Things, connected devices that you can monitor through the ServiceNow platform, where you can look at status or faults and automatically raise cases or incidents based on status. So this is where you start to get into, again, some of the stuff that Adam was talking around leveraging the latest technologies. If you have items where you can have scanners, systems, sensors, that kind of thing, that will automatically alert the system to an issue so that action can be taken without human need to get involved in the initial part of the process. So this starts to, again, drive a whole process of efficiency, but also a change in customer service in the way that we are able to respond to things. So you kind of bracket all of this. That's what customer service management is to us. You could be leveraging all of these different components, and that's what customer service management components come together as part of the ServiceNow approach to customer service and customer support. So it's quite a complex slide, quite a lot of different components there. Probably not actually including all of the capabilities within the platform, but hopefully it gives you a bit of an idea. But I think if I, and then some of you trying to take a picture of that, I'll leave that one there. If I try to break that down into three core components, perhaps a little bit sort of summarizing, if you like, the areas, and this is some of the way that we try and position the components to the CSM product. So there's that whole area around driving action with self-service. That's that sort of top left-hand corner there. There's the connecting the back office to the front office, or if you prefer, the resolving complex issues end-to-end, root cause, getting the information to the right people, information flow to the organization and from the organization back to the customer with real-time status updates, that kind of thing. And then the proactive service component. I think, again, Adam was talking about how it used to be reactive and the move to proactive, the ability to link Internet of Things or some of our ITOM product capability to actually drive an entirely proactive service capability within the CSM platform. So hopefully that's given you a bit of an idea of where we sit, where we perhaps differentiate against a traditional CRM area, moving away from core reaction management to true customer service management. So I thought what I would share now, and flip things a little bit, is a little bit of information around some real-life customer studies, case studies, if you will, of customers that are using ServiceNow, customer service management, to address some real-life problems, and move straight into that now. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Virgin Trains. Virgin Trains is the largest train operator in the UK. Many of you will know that they do a lot of the sort of stuff out of London, up and down the east and west coast. Somewhat at the behest and reliant on Network Rail, but have been really, I think, very innovative, and I think going back to Adam's point again, you know, a change agent within the industry about adapting and technology to try and change the overall customer experience and deliver a much better service. So I thought I'd kind of share some things, and these guys actually were on the keynote at Knowledge 19 just a couple of weeks ago in the States, our big user event. We had 20,000 attendees, and so I've sort of shared some of the areas they have, linked, if you like, to those three themes that I was talking about earlier on. So drive action with self-service, what's that all about? They, for example, have had for some time a ticketing app available on mobile. And now with the ServiceNow Mobile Studio, they've added to that ticketing app with other components to the capability on the mobile phone for their customers. So for example, it's now got the ability to alert you to what platform it is, you know, what your seat number is, but also of changes and disruptions within the service. So for example, different platform, train is delayed, or heaven forbid, even to the situation where a train is cancelled, then having a guided capability using machine learning to actually rebook on a later train, for example. You know how all the tickets work and you know, the restrictions and so on, telling you that, for example, I'm really sorry, the train has been cancelled. I know you're on a saver ticket, but actually now, you know, you've been authorised now to use the later train in the peak hour period, and here are your options. Which ones would you like to book onto? You know, and work that through. If you don't want to travel, okay, I'm really sorry about that. You know, click here to automatically apply for your refund to go against your credit card. You know, that type of activity that's done within app, you know, using the intelligence within the platform, knowing who you are, you know, where you are, and the context with which you're operating, you know, in terms of your travel. That virtual agent is also available that you saw earlier on within app, so you can interact with it. You can use real sort of text and language to get information if you don't get, if you like, what you need out of the structured conversation that's built into the application. So that whole self-service component, and recognizing that when you're on the road, when you're traveling, when you're at, you know, York Station or whatever, you're probably going to have your mobile with you, but you're not going to have your laptop up and open and available to work. So, you know, recognizing the needs of the customer in the context, a really good example, I think, of leveraging technology for the benefit of customers and helping with that self-service domain. Sort of about the complex issues end-to-end area. This is that connection of the back office, if you like. So here again, they're using a mobile app again, this time for the employees. So it's giving them information about disruption events and what they can do about them. It's letting them know about what the alternative trains might be. It can give them real-time updates on what the latest information is of when the issue is going to be resolved, whether it is going to be resolved, the ability to directly contact the escalation points and other key members, you know, the station managers, the platform managers, the cleaning crew, whatever it is that needs to be done. And also network route info, so they can think about, you know, rerouting and alternative ways of addressing things. They're also using the voice-to-text type capability. So rather than, you know, someone is walking down the train and finds a problem there, perhaps there's something wrong with the catering, or there's an issue with, you know, the bathrooms, etc. They can actually speak into the phone and automatically create an incident through speaking into it that gets converted into text that then goes into the system. So another example of trying to make things easier for the employees to improve employee satisfaction to drive customer satisfaction. So if anyone knows sort of Richard Branson, his proof, you know, his sort of approach is saying it's not about customer satisfaction per se, it's get the employee satisfaction right. That looks after the clients, that delivers the client or customer satisfaction. So Virgin Trains absolutely adapting and adopting that through the use of technology to improve the employee experience, to drive an improved customer experience. Another really interesting area is fraud detection. The rail industry suffers a lot from particularly claims against delays or cancelled trains from people who not valid, if you like, in the way that they are using their tickets. So that they've got a combination of a much more rapid payment of someone for a genuine claim through, again, the use of the ServiceNow platform, checking and verifying, and again, automatically paying in the case of a disruption or a delay or a cancellation, but also for the situation where people have perhaps faked a ticket or are claiming for a delay on a route that could not have existed, or a train that could not have existed, that you couldn't have made based on where you said you started from, and another such activity, or situations where multiple email addresses, to a single address, or the same email address for multiple physical addresses, or the same mobile number, etc., etc. So it's kind of mapping, if you like, what in some cases is organised crime that's trying to leverage, if you like, the remediation and money back system, if you like, that exists within the train organisations today. And Virgin have done a fantastic job on this, really disrupted the industry and the approach that they've taken, and are now making this available to the whole rail industry as a whole, across the whole of the UK, to try and improve the overall approach to fraud management, which is good news for all of us, because it means that there's not many monies wasted on that and can be reinvested into the network and more generally sort of ticket pricing. So what about the third area, the proactive piece? And this is perhaps a really good practical example of how you can use that connected asset component to the model I was showing before. So Virgin is using sensors on its trains for things like brake temperature, vibration, that kind of thing, which automatically then monitors real-time information and polls occasionally and sends information through to the system to do things like preventative maintenance. And then kind of closing the loop on that, if it says, look, it looks as if we need to do something about these brakes before they get to the point where it's a problem, okay, what are the implications for that in terms of scheduling that work so it makes the minimum disruption to our schedules, to our train running operations. So a really great example of, if you like, Internet of Things sensors then driving into the platform to deliver an improved customer service at the end of the day by scheduling things based on information that's available through the connected assets. Great success in the marketplace for Virgin, highly rated by customers, one of the best customer sat in the business, in a difficult business. Multiple award winners, whether that's in the rail industry or in the IT industry, for the thing that these guys do. And I think they have I don't know if you guys have seen this before, but they have a philosophy as part of the Virgin Group, which I think explains, why they have been so innovative, why they've been so disruptive in their approach and use of technology to address some of these issues. And they encapsulate this in this one little thing here: screw average, create amazing. If that tells you how their philosophy is and how they're approaching it, and I think it comes back to Adam's point earlier on about be the change agent, these guys are absolutely at the forefront of that, and hopefully I've given you a couple of examples of how they're leveraging the ServiceNow platform in a kind of ServiceNow first approach, if you like, to try and change some of the things that have been around for a long time and take a completely different approach to the business. So another company that you guys will be familiar with, Vodafone, a very large global communications operator, telecoms operator, headquartered in the UK, but with multiple operations around the globe. They have also been going through a significant digital transformation journey. The sort of challenges in particular in the business area for Vodafone was around, I think, typically the classic iteration with large legacy applications, multiple acquisitions, and some old technology, particularly in the back end, in the operational systems within the business, around the siloed operations, and not being able to deliver a consistent experience to their customers. Very reactive, waiting for those calls to come in, not kind of getting on the front foot. And also, as they're acquiring businesses, as they have done fairly consistently, not being able to scale with volume very well, and so having pressure around productivity and efficiency measures. So Vodafone had a major digital transformation initiative headed up by a dedicated team. They had a digital transformation office that was really driving through improving the customer experience using the ServiceNow CSM platform. So there's some key things that I think are good lessons here for all of us. They went through what they call radical simplification. Their view was around, we do too many things, we need to do less, and we also need to make sure that we don't try and automate activity that's actually a poor process. So simplify the process, simplify the operations before we actually do the automation. So they kind of did the simplification thing first before leveraging the automation capabilities within the platform. They were absolutely on the page of moving towards that self-service customer care, and in particular that was leveraging the core component of the ServiceNow area, which is CMDB. In other words, the database that captures the detailed asset information, and then leveraging that based on identifying who you are to know exactly what you have got, what you've purchased, what you're paying maintenance on, to give you, if you like, the real-time accurate information of your status to help provide the self-service capability. We've heard a little bit about earlier before with the mobile experience and so on. Their view was, look, we're used to, as consumers, delivering a really high quality capability through web, through mobile, whether that's Amazon, whether that's Uber, whether that's Netflix, that type of thing. They wanted that type of experience for their business customers. So that was the sort of philosophy that they were looking to drive. So you'll sometimes hear this, the consumerization of the enterprise, if you like, experience. And then we want to be proactive. We want to get on the front foot. We've got a network out there of servers and switches and fiber and so on and so forth. We can monitor that stuff and we can get ahead of the game. So it links in again to that sort of closed loop component I was describing earlier. So those big transformation program took about 3 years to complete, but some outstanding results. They talk about end-to-end 360-degree view of the customer for the first time, that their support agents went from 24 different systems that they were using down to a single system, bringing everything together based on ServiceNow CSM. And that gave them significant agent satisfaction improvements, but it also meant that new agents coming in were much more productive much earlier, much less ramp-up time, much less training, time to value much quicker. So an efficiency improvement on several dimensions. So happier agents, better customer satisfaction, better retention, but for those they did bring in new, much quicker ramp-up time to be productive. A couple of acronyms there. First, call resolution up from 0% in many of the areas to 70%. So a huge change in their operational capability and customer sat from that. Mean time to resolution, the average amount of time it took to fix an issue, a 70% improvement. So again, a massive change, reducing the complexity and changing the way that they're approaching their business. And those two things together driving a 45% reduction in the cost to serve through the customer service organization and a 25% increase in customer satisfaction. So some massive numbers there for a very complex, difficult business, big digital transformation based on ServiceNow CSM. I should maybe say at this point that CSM, a key component of ServiceNow's portfolio. I was at an event yesterday with Gartner here in London, and they actually said that the ServiceNow CSM product is the fastest growing product in the customer service space. And I think this shows why, with the sort of track record we've got of working with customers, that's driving that success in the marketplace. So one last little story from me, just a quick time check here. Company called Epicor, very close to my heart. That's where I spent the last 8 years of my working life before joining ServiceNow about 8 months ago. Epicor is a B2B software vendor. It's an ERP player. It's actually the fifth largest ERP software vendor in the world. Global operations, headquartered in the US, mainly working in the mid-market to large market, business-to-business customer activity. My role there was heading up the global support operations, and I had about 1,000 people in 16 support centers around the globe delivering service to customers who were calling in or emailing in about challenges they had with their software that they were purchasing from Epicor. And we had a problem. Fundamental problem we had was that we had a poor customer satisfaction. All of our surveys that we were doing were suggesting that things were getting worse. I think customer expectations changing. and we were working really hard but really not making headway with the systems and processes that we had. And worse still, we found that we had our churn in our maintenance contracts. Our maintenance businesses was actually over half of our total revenue. So this is the annual maintenance fees that customers pay to get service from Epicor. And each 1% of churn was costing us $4 million per annum. So not getting that right was a huge issue for us, and was starting to impact our top line revenues and flowing straight through to our bottom line profits. So the two we could see were closely connected: customer satisfaction, or poor customer satisfaction, driving churn in our business, or lack of retention, if you will, and causing a financial issue for the company. There are other issues as well. There were secondary issues. We were concerned around our operating costs and efficiencies, as all customers and all companies would do. But in particularly, we felt that we lacked the management visibility to aid our decision making of where the hot points were, where we needed to improve, where we needed to shift resources, etc. And our customers were saying the same. They didn't have visibility about what we were doing within the organization. So that kind of culminated, if you like, in this final piece, which said financial performance actually impacting our ability to sell the company. We're private equity owned. We're owned by a company called Apex Partners, a major private equity business, going through the end of a normal investment cycle, looking to a transaction to sell the company on, and not good news to have falling top line revenues impacting bottom line profitability, based on those things there. So a kind of real challenge around, we need to change, we need to do something significant, we need to go through a digital transformation of our customer service business. And so we came up with this concept of the change program, which we titled Epic Care, going through that area there. So sort of short version of this, if you like, the decision was that we decided to work with ServiceNow, and in particular the ServiceNow CSM product in the very early days of its productization, to drive and transform the customer experience. And this was about trying to get us to a single platform globally to deliver that improved customer experience. And then on top of that single platform and the rationalization of our multiple platforms that we had previously, it was to start to leveraging some of the latest technologies around self-service customer portal, omni-channel engagement, and connecting the back office to the front office, and getting away from one of the big issues that we uncovered as we dug into this, which was the lack of visibility beyond support that we had within the organization, and the connection, particularly of our development organization, getting rid of the black hole of development and connecting it into the information to the customers right up front. So I thought I'd share a bit of a timeline. We were a very early adopter of ServiceNow CSM. We were a big influencer on the way that the product has evolved and grown over that time. So we started this process in early 2015. We actually did a formal vendor assessment, CRM vendors, other service management vendors, before coming to the conclusion that ServiceNow was the right partner for us at that point in time. We got the classic board approval for the significant investment we needed to make in terms of our internal resources, the money we were going to have to lay on the table for purchasing the ServiceNow solution and the integration and getting it running around about August 2015. And then signature in September 2015. And then, if you like, moving forward then with the Epicare project proper. We took a total of 6 months we're a sort of $1 billion organization, to get ourselves ready to then do a global rollout. And we decided to do the rollout in 7 phases, 7 waves, over a 12-month period, where basically we were replacing the existing legacy systems one by one with the ServiceNow platform. We had over 15 different systems in operation that we had to replace. We had over 70 different portals of various shapes and colors and hues that we needed to replace with the single ServiceNow platform, the Epicare platform, to get to the point by the end of March 2017 we had all of those systems replaced, all of those portals replaced, a single customer portal, a single system for all of our agents and for our customers to interact with. So all customers and partners for all 70 plus products that we supported worldwide, for 1,000 or so agents live on the Epicare platform. So a big undertaking, a big project, and hopefully give you some idea of the timelines for some of these very large transformations. But then, what's the sort of the benefit side of that? What do you get out of that if you commit to that digital transformation of your customer service operations? I think perhaps one of the most important areas, and I think something we underestimated when we started that journey, was around, we were saying a lot of things to our customers around customer focus, customer first, customer centricity, but we lacked something tangible around which to, tag those words to, if you will. So this became, if you like, the focus for the business, both internally and externally, to demonstrate that they weren't just words, that we were really keen about it. So Epicare became the driver to the customer focus and centricity. We got great kick almost immediately in our net promoter scores, our customer satisfaction scores, almost day one of going through, and over the first year, significant change across the board, and continuing in subsequent years as we rolled out more features and capabilities within the system. So it started to address that really top line issue we had, the key driver around customer satisfaction. And then that then helped us with our support renewals. We saw a very rapid increase in our renewal numbers by about 2%, and again, more in subsequent years, driving about an $8 million annual retention benefit into our numbers. So significant and immediate ROI on the investment that we'd made by making this transition. We got good metrics as well around cost reductions and efficiency. We improved our support margins. We found it much easier to get new people trained up. And that then in turn helped our employee sat. We saw a big spike in our agent satisfaction, mainly around things like system speed, the UI, the fact that it was real time rather than client server with a lag, the fact that we could make changes. Virgin Trains is another great example. They talked about their old system. They could only make one change every 2 years. And with the new Agile ServiceNow platform, they were making 2 changes a week to the system. Little small incremental agile changes based on feedback from customers, from employees, from partners, and we took exactly the same approach. We actually did once per week. We had a weekly release of little changes to improve the overall experience for our agents, for our customers, and for our partners, and that was extremely well received by our employees who'd been suffering for a long time around the inability to get changes in our legacy systems. We got a bunch of unexpected benefits. We didn't expect to be leveraging the detail that we had within our service system to actually help us go to market. The great level and granularity of information we had in the CMDB, a core component of the ServiceNow platform, enabled us to actually figure out the white spaces within our customers to actually inform our sales and marketing teams. So that was a huge benefit we just didn't expect to get, and when we got out of the project. So kind of wrapping all this up in terms of the benefit statement, we had great feedback from the customers and partners, great feedback from our agents and employees about the work that we're doing and the improvements we delivered. The board was really happy about the fact that we had a project that was delivered on time, under budget, and then was delivering the business benefits and more that we'd set out and committed to at the beginning. And we were able to compare this against some of the other projects we had within the organization. It sort of started to get labeled as Epicore's most successful project. So then the sort of final piece of this really was around getting external verification. So we were lucky enough to be awarded with Customer Service Department of the Year by a very prestigious award called the Stevie for Customer Service Department of the Year in 2017, and again in 2018 for the journey we went through on the Epicare program and the digital transformation, the change that we delivered to the organization. And I guess the final sort of piece of the good news story, and I think the success that is significantly driven by ServiceNow, was the ability to sell the company on the back of those improved results, financial results and customer service results, and a very, very good transaction from the old owners to the new owners, KKR, at the very end of 2017. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of a journey and some of the sort of key metrics and some of the thinking that went behind some of the transformations that 3 quite significant transformation activities have occurred with Virgin, with Vodafone, and with Epicore. So I'm going to go through just a couple more slides here just to kind of wrap this up. I think I'm the last thing between you and lunch. So I just thought I'd try and summarize this whole piece. So hopefully through some of the examples I've given, we'll give you an idea around the increase in customer satisfaction that customers can typically achieve with customer service management from ServiceNow. That things like resolution times can be dramatically reduced by the number of examples we've got now. And that deflection to self-service is a really important piece. it delivers better customer satisfaction, but it also drives efficiency. It enables your agents to focus on the complex, more interesting issues, get rid of the mundane, get rid of the repetitive, but also gives a much better 365, 24/7 experience to your customers. So kind of in conclusion then, you want to go beyond CRM for customer service. You get your self-service customer service. You get that end-to-end customer service. You get that proactive piece together. You wrap that all in your enterprise service management, and that's what gives you ServiceNow customer service management. So thank you very much. I hope that's helped position CSM. Going to be around the rest of the day. Thank you for your time and thank you for your attention.